On behalf of Governor McCrory, I'm humbled and honored to be part of today's ceremony. And I'm privileged to partner with the City of Jacksonville, Camp Lejeune, the Marine Corps on this great effort. And I'd especially like to recognize all the family members of those who served and paid the ultimate sacrifice. As an Army paratrooper and commander, I led many troops into combat, and I know that solemn bond between commander, family member, and soldier, sailor, Marine, airman, Coast Guardman, to do our very best to all come back home whole, healthy, and happy. But it doesn't always work out that way. And I understand the devastation of loss in combat to terror and peacekeeping missions. And for those personally impacted, I know it was especially difficult for you because your loved ones weren't there for war. They were there to keep the peace. And that's why you deserve to always have a memorial that stands tall and grows every year, just as your Marines stood tall 30 years ago. At the North Carolina Department of Transportation, we're not just building new roads, we're connecting people to opportunities, and we're working on a base entrance project now that will improve access to Camp Lejeune, to make it easier for Marines and family members and DOD and Navy civilians to do the job they do. The same one the brave individuals were doing on this day, this very day, 30 years ago, protecting freedom and keeping the peace. As it became apparent that many of the original memorial trees planted in the 1980s would need to be moved as part of the project, we wanted to help ensure that the memory of those brave individuals and the efforts of the community members who worked so hard, as the mayor just mentioned, to make these trees possible would continue on. And I want to thank, in particular, the North Carolina Department of Transportation staff members, Roadside Environmental Engineer Team, Joe Chance in Division 3 Roadside Environmental Unit, and also Division 3 Engineer Karen Fussell, as well as the City and Beirut Memorial Advisory Board, for their many efforts in partnership to make this project a reality. I want to thank the entire community for their support as well. It has been a true partnership on all levels, from selecting the site for the grove to identifying the type of tree to be planted. On the stage today are examples of the 273 beautiful autumn flowering cherry trees that will be planted in the grove with a border of double knockout roses and daylilies. These trees were selected in great part because they will bloom at this time each year as we gather to remember those who served and sacrificed. Also, the site selected for the location of the new grove, positioned between three of the city's most significant routes, US 17, NC 24, and Wilmington Highway, will help ensure that all who travel through this area will continue to remember the precious lives that were lost, and that their service remains at the very heart of this community. As a commander deploying with troops, I always took my promise to my soldiers and my families very seriously, as I know every Marine today, yesterday, and tomorrow does and do and will. Today, my promise to you is that as we work to support the service of Marines and families on the base through this grove, you will continue to have a memorial that stands tall, just as all of your Marines did 30 years ago to keep the peace. Thank you, Semper Fi.